All right. Hey, everybody coming on in here. Who we have in here so far? First and foremost, thank you all so much for swinging through for another installment of Girl Talk. I can't believe this is episode 4. Okay. This is episode 4, and here we are. So we are on a timer today. Just want to be respectful of my guest, which I will get into in just a moment. But I understand there are 5 million things going on the YouTube streets right now. But guess what? That ain't got nothing to do with me. Okay. My obligation is to my girl talk today. So, starting off, I can always count on Chakra King Black to be the first one to drop down in the chat with the vegetable emojis and everything else like that. Thank you so much. God rising family, positive vibes, conflict resolution, spiritual enlightenment. I know that's right. To my honey bun, Charity Dion, I am so glad you are back with me. It has been a pleasure meeting you when Ness was here. Like, I really am glad we were able to connect on YouTube and hope to see you around a whole lot more. And to my honey bun, Charlie, sending love. Thank you so much for coming on through. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring up my special guest. Now, hey, listen, this person here, right? I, you know how they always say it's a small world? You know, they say it's a small world. Oh my God. It literally is a small world. Literally, it's a small world. So, this individual that is my co host today, I found out she knew who my found out she knew who my family was simply by somebody dropping down in a chat and saying, "Hey, did you hear? I think it was Bishop Willis. Hey, did you hear Bishop Willis died or something like that?" And when I saw this person respond, I'm thinking, how does this person know? So I hit the person up and they said, find me on Instagram and we'll talk. Come to find out, honey. I told her what church I was going to and everything. And come to find out, this individual not only went to the church at one point, but knows my family. Okay. And she knows the people I'm cool with it and everything. I didn't know that her ties run so deep. Okay. So, my co host today, in case you all did not know, she was once over here in the beef sector behind it. Now she is coined as the queen of the church sector. None other than my girl, Miss Cruza. Hey, Miss Cruza.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me
Hello.
okay?
Yes, ma'am, I can. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And hello to everybody in the chat. Hey, Sugars.
Hey, I miss hearing that. Hey, sugars. Now,
Now
Cruza, let me tell you something.
if I
I
may,
am
let me explain that
sure.
Queen of the Church sector thing before it get out of hand because it did one time before.
Okay.
So I was in the church sector before.
Hmm.
I was over there before, years before. Like I'm gonna tell you how long ago. You remember when Bless Watkins used to do the morning lives?
Yes, ma'am.
It was even prior to that. But I really didn't
Whoa.
share that with anybody in the beef sector. Because I was doing my thing over there and I ain't want to kind of messed up and I ain't want to mingle. Now there was a few people who knew I was over there. Ronnie Q knew I was there because she just so happened to pun me and found me. And a few other people might have known that I was over there. And I left. I left the church sector. Me and William
Hmm.
McCrae got into
Mm.
it and it got pretty, intense. And I left I was like, let me chill on that for a little while. And
Mhm.
I left. And then when I left the beef sector, I went back over there.
Mhm.
And so AT2, it was a few people who wasn't really familiar with me from being there before. And it was AT2. His name is AT2 for real. He started teasing and saying, Cruza is the queen of the church sector because
That's
I
what I
would do
heard said.
yeah, because I would do the recaps. And the reason why I wanted to explain it was because it became a big thing. Conscious TV was like, aren't you going to talk about this? You're supposed to be the queen of the church sector. And it jives, so it became a little joke and Dimple started saying it. So it's kind of a funny thing, me being the queen of the church sector. So I want to explain that before somebody say, she ain't queen of nothing. What's she talking about? But I do enjoy the church sector. It's a better fit for me.
Mhm.
It's topics I more enjoy talking about. And if I am going to quote unquote beef, that's more of my speed.
Okay, okay. And I knew something was going on with you and McCray because one day I dropped down somewhere and I said, "Oh, Cruza sent me." McCray said, "You and Cruza's people."
I'm surprised he didn't say, "I can't stand her."
Listen, I heard McCray say on one of his lives. He said, "You know what? I'm gonna use all my resources to find out who this cruiser is." I said, "She hurt your feelings that bad? Golly,
Well, we have made up. I dropped down in
good."
his Instagram and he said, "I know this is not Cruiser." So he told me that he didn't appreciate what I was doing. He said that I was stealing his content. I heard him and I just said, "Yes, okay, I understand." And then because I wouldn't argue with him back and I apologized, he
Hmm.
was like, "Cool." He said, "Cool, cool. We good." So we good now. We good now. He's
I'm
not coming
glad.
for some reason. He think I'm live in Philadelphia. He ain't coming to Philadelphia to get me. So
What? Ugh.
his resources were way off. He had the
I
worst.
mean,
I don't
all
know
the way
who
off.
his investigators are, but he need to fire all of them because the first clue would have been should have been this country accent wasn't from no
Okay.
Philadelphia.
Country, but that's all right. Hey,
Okay,
Nurse Shay, how y'all doing? Sean talks. Oh my God, Sean, I was
Sean,
just
thank you for coming
talking
over
about
here.
you. Oh my
Mhm.
God. Oh my God. Hey, Sean, I was literally just talking to Cruza about you. And I said, after my girl talk, I have got to go and watch yours because I saw that you had one scheduled and I was going to share it out, but I realized it was 5:31.
Yes, it's the her edition with
Her
the
edition.
Juice
Yes.
Radio and I am Courtney. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
Hmm.
certainly going to be right on over there, Sean, to take a look and listen and see what I can learn from you all over there because this is only my fourth episode here. Hey, Rochelle, welcome everybody coming. Really,
Really be
BTV?
TV.
What? Wait, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold
Go
on.
on and fan out.
I am just a little bit. I'm trying not to. See, because really, BTV is somebody I watch all the time. Sean talk, no shade. I watch as well. Okay. I'm fanning out a little bit. Lady Nika, hit the like when you walk in the
It's
den.
a
Come on
lady in
in, put
here.
your feet up.
The
Yep.
lady is in the chat.
Yes. Okay, Fit. Oh my God, y'all are rolling on in.
The
Hey, K
dove. I call her the
Fit.
dove. That's the
Okay.
dove.
Listen, who's in here? Moderators? If y'all can do me a big favor, I need a moderator to not girl, please.
Girl.
My moderators, I need y'all to grab Sean Talks link and drop it in here because she also has a her edition women's panel as well. I highly suggest you all go and watch it. I would like somebody to drop really BTV's channel, and I also want someone to drop K Fit's channel as well.
Hey,
K Fit
Fit,
is
keep me
doing
up
an
on what's going
amazing.
on with the orange one.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. That's why I be over there. So, oh my God, hey Miss Toby,
Miss
hey RY and
Toby.
Cruzy, I've been waiting for this live. Oh my God,
Miss
y'all got me
Toby is
fanning
my
out a little
girl.
bit.
Can I tell you?
Yes.
Okay, you say that about everybody, Cruiser. Can I tell you, Miss Toby is so delightful. I
She
had
is.
the honor of meeting Miss Toby.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
she's a nice lady. And she's nice because we have the same birthday. That's my birthday twin. So of
well,
course she's
she
dope.
is
Of
so
course.
sweet and so caring. And I just adore Miss Toby with her round pretty face. Okay, I ain't gonna say no more, Miss Toby.
Oh my God, you all came flooding on in here. I am so excited. Let me tell you something. Sean Talk, K Fit, Miss Toby, and Really BTV, y'all have put a smile on this girl's face. I appreciate it. So if y'all can continue to drop those links for me, I really, really, really appreciate my moderators. Y'all are amazing. Okay. That's why I chose y'all for a reason. So we about to hop right on into it. Miss Cruiser only has an hour, so we're gonna try to fit all this in there. But once Miss Cruiser leaves, the conversation is still gonna go on. Okay. Quick icebreaker. This or that, okay?
Okay.
Chatting or emailing?
Chatting.
Mm. Morning person or a night owl?
I have over the past 5 years. I've become a morning person.
Really?
I'm
Okay.
going 10:30. I'm going to bed unless I'm out.
Listen,
I'm
okay.
going to bed.
Netflix or YouTube?
I'm gonna say YouTube. Had you said Prime TV or BritBox, I would have said BritBox.
Oh,
But since you said Netflix, I don't watch
I'm a
Netflix a lot.
I'm
A
a I'm
lot.
a Prime TV girl.
Hmm.
Cook or order in?
Cook.
Cruza, you can cook.
Oh, Cruza can cook very well.
What?
I come from a family of cooks.
Really?
Over Lent, that's what I gave up was eating out. Because my weight's getting out of control. So I gave up eating out. But yes, I'm a cook. Um,
Okay.
and I don't cook from the box. I'm a cook. Chop it up,
Uh
make make
huh.
make my own cream, make my own batter. And both of my daughters cook very well too. They're
Really?
the same thing. That you will not catch them cooking anything from a jar or a box. They're gonna cook it from scratch. Yeah, but I
Oh,
come from.
absolutely.
I mean, none of my people cook professionally. Like none of them are chefs. We just cook well. Yeah.
Okay. One more question. Cake or pie?
That's a hard one. Cake.
Really?
Especially
What kind
birthday cake.
what kind of pies do you eat though?
If I eat pie, it's gonna be I like peach cobbler, I like apple pie, and I like sweet potato pie.
I can't see how y'all eat pies. All pies to me are disgusting. I don't
Really?
know why. Yes. I'm a cake girl. All right. So that was just a quick little icebreaker. So for those that don't know, I try to make this as interactive as possible. So every week I will post 4 topics on my community wall and you get to vote. And your voice matters and you get to be a part of the show by choosing the topics. Right? So this week, the 2 topics that won were fostering friendships and expectations versus boundaries. So we're going to start with that one. Crusoe, what is your definition of expectation and what is your definition of a boundary?
Now you would ask me that because I was going to ask you as part of the conversation when you said
Okay.
expectations and boundaries on
Go ahead.
how do you mean? Do you mean in friendships? Do you mean in relationships? Do you mean um
Let's go friendships.
I if I befriend you,
Hmm.
the only expectation I have is that you don't betray my trust.
Okay.
Because when it comes to people, and I'm not one of those people that have few friends. I'm one of those
Hmm.
people that have a lot of friends on purpose. But I'm not one of those people that you're gonna become friends with very easy. Not because of me. Well, not because I don't want to befriend people, but because you already know my personality is a little very I hear you laughing. Stop laughing. Um,
Yeah,
you can't be friends with me if you can't stand to hear my mouth because I'm going to flat out say what I say. I'm gonna say it.
that's very true.
I don't tiptoe. Um, and things I'm trying to get better with it, but things just fly out. I'm just you won't have to worry about me being fake with you. I'm gonna tell you what I feel, and so that makes some people kind of don't really want to uh, be friends with me because of that, and that's okay because that's okay because that's probably the best thing to do. But so my expectation is that we know each other and we accept each other for who we are. Now very well two of
Hmm.
my very 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 close friends. Uh,
Yeah. That's all I can say is, whoo, yeah.
and you ain't hanging with none of us.
Listen, especially those two, because those, and one of them especially, golly, I see why
Oh
you and
girl,
Miss Individ, Shelton. I'll just say that. I
yeah,
see why you are her friend, because baby, listen, hmm,
it's the one of the three
woo,
of us ain't get kicked out of church all together.
Okay, because there's been plenty of times I almost got kicked out behind Shelton, just in there laughing all during service.
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh, that other one, she's a character, and I
yeah,
just leave that there.
yeah,
Okay, so that
yeah.
is your expectation. So, what are in your mind? What is your definition of a boundary?
Uh, you know, it was something I was listening when I was listening to your show. You with Intrinsic, I think y'all was talking about people stopping by and visiting,
Okay,
and y'all were saying, if you come to my door, you ain't gonna get in. Um,
absolutely.
I think it's good to know once you get to know friends, you understand their boundaries. I'm gonna give an example. Somebody in the chat, Really B.
Okay,
I
okay,
know Really B is both social and not social all at the same time. Every now and then she needs her. If you hang with her, I have a cruise for her, and I can tell when she needs her space. It gets to a point where people gravitate to her.
hmm
It's interesting. Let me give an example. We was at this place, and I just went to use the restroom, and I came back, and it was a bunch of people crowded around her. Like she was just out there dancing. It was like I said, "Who are these people?" She's like, "I don't know. So the girl's getting married. It's a wedding." And so I think because I'm assuming because people gravitate to her, she needs her space, and I understand. Okay, she needs space now. So I think when you learn your friends' boundaries, not that they're being funny, not that they're being offish, but when they need a moment. Um, if they want you to, if I say something about my children, I think she knows when I want to hear her input and when she just we need to listen. So, I think that with friendship, it forms and you learn each other. So you
hmm
learn boundaries. It's not just something that you automatically know. You kind of learn them.
Okay. So I did a little research just to kind of figure out the two because I'm not going to lie, I was struggling because I was thinking that boundaries and expectations were one and the same thing. They were
Hmm.
just interchangeable. But from what I found out, they are not. So boundaries are self-referential rules about what you will do or allow to protect your mental and emotional health. And in 2026, mental health matters. Okay, because it be a few folks that tap dances on my nerves, and it causes me to forget mental health and just want to black out. But then when I look up what expectations are hopes, beliefs, or demands regarding what others should do, which often lead to disappointment. So, do you think that in a friendship, one could exist without the other?
You mean expectation? I'm Boundaries is more important to me than expectations.
Now,
Expectations on the friendships is
that's interesting.
I don't have a lot of expectations for my friends other than them being decent human beings. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Um, I think as human beings we have too much, especially women. I think we have way too much expectations on each other to the point where we don't allow each other to breathe or allow each other to be our real authentic self.
Okay. So, where do you
So
think those
mhm,
extra expectations come from then?
they're traditional. What a woman ought to be or what a black woman ought to be. Um, and sometimes we want people to be what we can't even be, or we have more expectations out of people than we're willing to give, or um, I think we. I don't want to say you should let your. It depends on what you mean by expectations, because that's such a broad thing to say.
It's very
It's so
broad.
broad.
So, now let's kind of shift the
Mhm,
focus.
mhm.
When we talk expectations and boundaries, how do you fit that into, let's say, a romantic relationship then? Because
Now
if
that's what
with
yeah.
friendships, you say there are no expectations, it's only boundaries.
Right. There's boundaries, or just the expectation of you not to. I do have expectations, but they're my expectations are kind of the norm. Don't lie on me. Don't stab me in the back. Don't betray my mistrust. I think that's just normal stuff, right? Um. Now, the difference between a friendship and a relationship. When I went in a relationship, my expectations is would be a little bit different because there's a lot more involved. I'm giving you more of myself. There's intimacy involved. So there have to be expectations in that. Kind of the same, but a little bit more added on because in relationships, I believe in being compatible in a intimate relationship or in a romantic relationship. I believe in being compatible with the person. So there's an expectation of you being honest with me, so I can know whether we're compatible or not. I don't want you wasting my time. In other words.
Very true. Very true. So you said something that was interesting. You said compatibility in a relationship.
Mhm.
Do you feel that compatibility should also be applied to friendships as well?
No, I am certainly
Really?
no. Compatibility, like, with some of I have, like I just said, I have a lot of friends, lots of
Mhm.
friends. With some of my friends, I travel with them. Some of my friends are my prayer partners.
Mhm.
Me and you talked about Shelton and
Mhm.
Marie, the three of
Mhm.
us. Well, our friendship was formed out of our children.
Right.
All of us, 30 years ago or more, because those jokers old, ain't they?
Yeah.
Uh, because Josh was 32. Um, so
Dang.
our friendship formed out of us going to a church. Three women, we are nothing alike, nothing alike, but our friendship formed out of all of us having special needs kids. So I don't think that I guess that's a similarity, but what I'm saying is that my friendships are not formed out of being necessarily compatible with people. It's just formed out of people that I enjoy talking to. I may or may not have something in common with them. Um, so when friendships, I don't know whether you necessarily have to be compatible.
Okay. So since you and I are both, we are all things church, right?
Hmm.
There's a scripture that says, "How can two walk together unless they agree?"
Hmm.
And it also talks about being unequally yoked.
Okay.
Do you think that that is only for relationship purposes, or could that also translate over to friendships? And the reason why I ask that is because if you are all things church and you say
Hmm.
compatibility really doesn't matter in a friendship, with you being a church girl, would you go out here and be friends with somebody that is maybe an atheist, or maybe they are into the whole emo thing?
What is emu and emo?
That's well, that's what we called it when I was in school. They the ones that had like the black nail polish, black lipstick, and they listen to heavy metal and all that other stuff.
If you creep me out, I ain't gonna be friends with you. But girl, if that's on cruise, you creep me out. I'm friends with you. But if
Uh
you
huh.
Buddhist, if you Jehovah Witness,
Mhm.
if you a non-believer, I can kick it with you.
Okay.
Now, had you asked me that 10 years ago,
Mhm.
it would or 15 years ago, it would have been an absolute no.
Okay. So what changed from 10 to 15 years ago to now?
I got liberated.
Ooh,
I got liberated. I found
that
out
was a mouthful.
I found out that I could be a Christian and love God, and a lot of those rules
Mhm.
were set by church. And I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I don't have an issue with that because in every organization that you be in, there will be rules.
Oh
There
yeah.
has to be because
Absolutely.
there has to be order.
Absolutely.
It has to be order. So I don't have a problem with that. But the thou shall nots comes from that particular organization or
Oh,
that particular place
yeah.
and not necessarily is written.
Okay.
So my feeling right now is whatever your relationship with God, or if you call God the most high,
Mhm.
or some people say the universe, well, that's iffy, but I'm okay with that. Whatever gets you in relationship, I have no issue with.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: we do it at work, we do
Now
it in
that we
college,
do. We
we
do.
do it when we join the Greek organization, we do it everywhere else.
Yeah,
So
that's
why can't
very
we?
true.
I mean, we do it whether we admit we do it or not. We do it. Our neighbors, we go outside, we talk to our neighbors and engage and mingle with our neighbors, and they may not be. We live in this world
We
with each
do.
other.
We
So we
do.
can't be so heavenly minded that we're no earthly good.
Whoo, talk about it. Okay. And I agree with the whole liberation part where you were 10 to
Mhm.
15 years ago until now. I also feel like you can be friends with any and everybody. I still feel like there is a small compatibility piece there. It's not as major as if it was a relationship, but I
Mhm.
feel like it's still there. And my thing is this, honey, if Jesus can go have lunch, dinner, or brunch with the taxpayers, then I feel like we should be able to be friends with whomever we want.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I remember a few years ago they questioned um one of the wine, I think it was BB Wine,
Hmm.
and they started questioning TD Jakes and some others, saying, y'all hang with Oprah and y'all hang with this person, that hang with that person. And there are some people I feel like, and even Donnie used to hang with different ones. And
Hmm.
there are people that's going to be in positions that they're going to have access to people that some of us church folks ain't going to have access to. You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
Um, and so everybody got to hear this gospel. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't get hung. I used to be a time I got hung up with stuff like that. I
Hmm.
certainly now don't get hung up with things like that. Um, I think that I think that God resides on the inside of us. It's just a matter of us tapping into it.
I definitely agree with that, and what's the saying? Do unto others as you will have them do
Hmm.
unto you. And then it's what's the song? How to reach the masses, men of every birth. So if that's the case, I definitely feel like you see now you're kind of changing my views about
Hmm.
compatibility when it comes to friendships.
Hmm.
You're definitely kind of shifting that because I can honestly say I grew up apostolic, honey, and if you know anything about that.
You know, we both ended up over there.
Woo!
But yeah, I'm apostolic also, but when you military, you go to the church, you got to drop
Yeah.
all of those denomination and go where you fit in. But
Exactly.
hmm.
Exactly. So now let's kind of where we at on time. Like I said, I want to be
Hmm.
very respectful. We got 29 minutes left. So let's kind of shift this over into fostering friendships and also maintaining friendships. So we talked about the expectations versus boundaries when it comes to friendships, relationships, hell, even a situationship at this point, like you young
Hmm.
people say. So when it comes to fostering a friendship and maintaining a friendship, I want to be very specific and direct with that. I want to delve into it when it comes to women because I
Hmm.
feel like female friendships fall apart quicker than a male friendship does.
Hmm.
So, as you know, a woman of a particular age, how have you been able to foster and or maintain your female friendships down through the years? Because it's those two. I still don't understand how you. Whew,
How
listen,
we all, how the three of us have been friends for 25, twenty
because let
five
me.
years.
All three of y'all got nasty, slick mouths.
Oh,
Okay.
we got that mouth.
Oh, because Shelton called me the other day spaz, and I'm just like, girl, what?
You
So
remember that
how
time
do
we
you foster and what?
was you there that time we had them theater seats before we went to the new church? We was at the old church. And you remember we got banned. The three of us got banned to the theater seats. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And you
I
remember
remember
Josh?
that.
Josh used to always say, "We need a little bit more Holy Ghost,
Just a little bit, just a
a
little
little
bit,
bit more
just a
Holy
little
Ghost."
bit. To
Um,
everybody coming in, thank y'all so much. I couldn't speak to everybody individually because Cruza's only here for an hour, so I want to be respectful. But I will speak to you all once we are done
and
with
look,
this.
I'm gonna stop rushing you, and we're gonna spit it out
No,
about a little
no,
while
no, no,
longer
no, no.
because I feel like I'm
Uh-uh.
rushing.
No. I just want to be respectful of your time.
But
So,
I think in friendships, the first thing is to
mhm.
understand the difference between a friend, an acquaintance,
Mm.
somebody you kick it with. Like you hear your parents tell you all the time, and I know I tell my kids, used to tell my kids all the time, everybody ain't your friend.
Listen,
And that
talk
don't
about
mean
it.
they're not a good person.
Right.
Or that don't mean that you still stop talking to them.
Hmm.
But you have to know who is who. Who's your
Right.
friend?
Okay.
Who's your acquaintance? Who's somebody you just kick it with? I just like to kick it with. And when I say kick it, I like, I like she like to go to the lounge. I like to go to the lounge. You know, we go down to the lounge and flirt with them ninjas. Know who's who. Know who's who in your life.
So
Um,
it sounds like what you're saying in essence is learn how to compartmentalize people.
mhm.
Okay, I can respect that because that is one thing I am learning to do myself, and it's hard. It's hard. So with maintaining a friendship, what are some things that will cause you to pump a brake on a particular friendship?
um, you almost got to smash the windows out my Sadie's to make me mad because I'm so
Really?
because I'm so forward with
Okay.
because people when they get to know me, I'm so forward off the rip, off the top. I don't tiptoe. Um, trying to think of things I could. If I feel like if I feel like you were um dishonest, like if you're trying to play me, that's
Mhm.
the first thing. Don't be trying to play me like I'm stupid.
Oh
Don't play with
yeah,
me.
that's what. And I know this is Sunday, honey, and I got out of church and I'm sitting here sipping on an energy drink because I'm tired. Because them saints decided that today was going to be a Lipping Sunday day, and they decided to run around that church. But I'm gonna say this anyway. If I'm the type of person, I am very reactionary. And if I feel any type of way, I'm going to like really, really cuss you out in Jesus' name, okay? And I'm gonna cuss you with
Hmm.
real cuss words. And my excuse for that will be, well, Jesus, the Bible says, curse them that curse you. That's what's in there, and I'm gonna stick with it. So I'm gonna do it. Instead of, I'm the type that will not have a conversation, especially when I'm pissed off. I'm gonna cuss you out, but I'm not gonna have a conversation with you until I calm down. So when it comes to fostering and maintaining friendships, if you and your friends get into a little spat, a kerfuffle, or whatever they say, how long do you wait before you have a conversation with them?
I try not to do it when I'm real angry, but I
Mm-hmm.
try not to wait too long because people tend to forget or feelings. They think you're past it. So I try to go ahead and deal with it straight on. One of my close friends, something that I did that I wish I hadn't. For years, I didn't tell them how I felt about a certain thing. I didn't tell them that I felt like I was giving, and then when I was in need, they wasn't there. And by the time I told them, so much had happened, so many years had gone by that we were used to doing it that way. We were used to it always being me run to the rescue. And then when it
Mm,
came to my things, it seems like, well, I thought you was okay because you was cruising. I thought you was okay because you was still doing your events. I thought you were okay because you were. And sometimes we'll look at the friend who's able to look in the face of when they're going through and keep on pushing through, that we'll forget they're going through. And
mm,
so I have learned through that friendship to tell people straight off the rip when you feel like, because when I say years, I let years go by and never said anything.
really?
So now I tell people right off if I'm feeling neglected as a friend or not really neglected, like I'm feeling like, you're not seeing me. You know,
Okay. So when you say I feel neglected or you're not seeing me, what is it that makes you feel seen and not neglected? Like, do you expect for them to call you on the phone every day, sit on the phone for
no.
hours? Okay.
Let me give you an example. I was going through a situation one time, and I was with a friend, and when we talked, a few months later, we talked on the phone, and she said, "You seem so distant and almost jumpy." And I said, "You didn't think to ask, was I okay? That you
Mm,
didn't think this, that type thing. When is so involved with what you're going through that you don't even notice that your friend is going through something."
mm. And I needed to hear that because me and my best friend kind of got into it a little bit about that. And I had to kind of have a conversation with her this morning on the way to church. And she kind of, yeah. pretty much said the same thing. Oh, you don't call. Like, I barely hear from you anymore. I'm sorry, I had to run to get my groceries from the front door.
Mhm.
I don't hear from you anymore, and things of that nature. So I get it. I get it. So if a friend were to come to you and say, "Hey, Cruza, I feel neglected," what would you then say to that friend to kind of, I don't want to say comfort or pacify because I hate
Mhm.
pacifying adults, but what would you say to her in that moment to kind of make her feel
Well, I would first acknowledge and apologize and say
okay?
and ask them, what did I miss? What happened? And something you just said, a friend said you were neglected. On the flip side of that, when somebody is has moved back and you haven't heard from them for a while, it's good to check on them. Girl, are you okay? You good? You okay? Because I haven't heard from you. And if you just chilling, that's fine. But as long as you good, and then kind of give them their boundaries or their space because they might want to just need that. But I would find out what it was that I did miss, and just genuinely acknowledge it. A lot of times we try to make so many excuses and
Yeah.
rather than validate the feelings. If that's the way they felt, whether you agree with them or not, that's how they felt. You know what I mean? And
And I'm the type of person, I had to explain to her this morning. I'm the type of person, I will put my phone on do not disturb. And sometimes I just get in those moods where it's like you're gonna have to send a message to me by pigeon, by hook, nook, or crook. Because I think Cruza will be right back, y'all. She dropped. While she dropped, I want to go ahead and quickly, just Roxy, Patricia, Charlie, Cruza is back.
I don't know what I hit.
Bourbon bubblegum. It was a comment in here that absolutely tickled me. And your name was in the comment. Hold on. Where
Was
is
that
it?
bubblegum? I think she said I was
Long
long.
suffering. That one right there. That tickled
Mhm.
me. Now, Charlie said, sometimes friends aren't mind readers. And sometimes we also have to speak up. And also sometimes we got to check on our strong friends. Let me tell you something. I have to. Mm, I had to tell that girl that today. I'm like, you don't understand what I got going on in my real life. And we've been friends for years. Years. And so her thing was, well, you don't call me. You want to know why I don't call you? And I just laid it all out there. And she was just like, oh, well, your issues seem, a lot worse than mine. So my bad. And then she got quiet. So I said, you expect me to apologize for my lack of presence? I'm like, what you want me to do? And she said,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I said, well, right now I can't do that. I can't. And in that moment, I felt selfish. I really, really did, but I didn't care because
And
I am at that age where it's me above everything else.
it comes to a time where you have to say, look, I'm gonna have to stop and take care of me right now. I'm gonna have to put the mask on my face before I can help anybody else. Does come a time. But it's something I want to say to you. That's something you just said. There's
Yes.
no situation worse or better than the other when people are going through. And the reason why I say that is because that's why that friend never saw when I was going through,
Hmm.
because what she was going through seemed so much worse.
Hmm.
But a person going through and hurting is a person going through and hurting. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true. That is true. So, how would you, if you were to explain that to my best friend?
Hmm.
Because I think the girl on the spectrum, but I know she's not. She is highly intelligent, but some of the stuff she says, I just be like, what? It doesn't make sense. So if I were to explain that to her, what would be the easiest way I can dumb that down to her? And I hate using that word.
Well, I mean, you could say something like, "I know that we're both going through right now, but right now I'm not in the position to be able to help anyone. I can't. I can't. I'm not in the frame of mind to be there from anyone because I'm trying to get healed myself, and I could do you more damage than good. We don't need to trauma bond together right now." One of us need to get better. One of us need to get better
Listen,
so we can lean on the other one. But
okay,
if we're both leaning about to fall,
listen.
yeah.
What's the word? Lean on me when I'm not strong. It don't say, hey, we gonna have to lean on each other because we both weak. No, I ain't got time
Hmm.
for that.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person like if I can't give you 100% of me in a friendship, I literally fall back. Even if I feel like my friendship role has dropped down to 99 and a half, they say 99 and a half won't do. So I
Hmm.
will completely fall back. Now, do you think that is a bad thing to do?
Falling back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's if it's honest. I don't think it's good or bad if it's honest. If it's something that you absolutely have to do, it's something that you have to do. But let me tell you this: when you do that with the understanding that when you come back, that friend may not be there. Also, they may have
Mm.
moved on.
But
The
if they're a
friendship may not be the
friend,
same.
but if they're a
Mm-mm-mm.
friend,
They're good at
no,
expectation. They're good at expectation thing though. If they're a friend,
exactly.
see, but
Ugh.
see, that's what I mean. You can't put expectations on people and forget they're human. You know what I'm saying? People
That's
move
true.
on. People move
That's
on,
true.
and that doesn't mean they don't care for you. That doesn't mean that sometimes sometimes the friendship is just not going to be the same. And that's life. That's life.
Hmm.
I have friends
Okay.
that I have one friend that we've been friends since junior high. We got together. We decided when my middle girl was going to the my middle child and her oldest son that's that same age, and we decided that we were gonna have them to go to the prom together because he didn't have a prom date, and my daughter's boyfriend was acting up, so we made them go to the prom together. But we've been friends. That's how long we've been friends. We've been friends for
Hey.
forever, forever, forever. But our friendship is not the same as it, of course, was when we was in junior high. It's not the same as it was that year where we were, both had kids in high school and get
Hmm.
them through college. It goes, it, it- friendship goes in cycles. Some friends you're
I
gonna talk
agree
to
with
every
that.
single day, and some not so. You might talk to them once a month.
I agree with that. And that actually goes in line, I believe, with this comment here. It's important for friends to understand what type of people your friend or what type of person your friend is. I'm more of the type when we talk, it may not be often, but when we talk, we pick up where we left off. See, and that's what I'm struggling with. Okay. Hey, Jessica. Welcome,
Jessica,
everybody coming
sugar.
in. Kimberly Black, Chef's Imp, say simply, say simplify for instead of dumb down. Thank you. Thank you for that. Because I would say, okay, I'm not about to dumb this down. So I appreciate that. I will keep that in mind. Kimberly Black, everybody else coming on in. So I am guilty of being the friend that will sit on the phone. If we haven't talked for a while, I'm the friend that'll sit on the phone and let you do all the talking. And I won't say nothing. I won't say nothing at all. I just be like, okay. And then my friend would get mad, like, what do you want me to say? I mean, you are running your mouth. You're talking 50 million miles a minute. Okay. So that is something that I have to work on. And she keeps telling me that all the time. I'm just like, I'm too old to change. Too old to change. But I understand that that is one of her going back to expectations and boundaries. And she has had that conversation with me multiple times. So that is something that I have to work on, even though I don't want to, because I am
I'm,
the
I'm
type of
about to
person
say
where I am
something
set
that
in my ways.
I'm about to say something that the chat is probably going to disagree with me, and I'm
Uh
okay with that.
oh, here we go.
If a friendship is hard, is it a friendship? Friendships should run smoothly.
Mm.
If you struggling with it, and we struggling with it, I think you should rethink what that person is to you.
Okay.
I struggle with my sisters because we sisters. My mama them said, my parents said, y'all sisters, y'all gonna get along. Period. So I'm
Mm.
50. I'm 55 and still think my parents can put me on punishment. So I have to get along with them. It's a struggle. It's I have three sisters. It's four girls, no boys. So that's a struggle.
Mm. Yeah.
But with friendships, I don't expect that same. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect all the time, but there's not going to be disagreements, or we're not going to annoy each other. But when
Hmm.
you struggling with just how you talk to each other, that makes me wonder, like, why y'all friends?
Okay, so me and my best friend, right? When we're together and we're around each other, because our birthdays is about the same time, so we always do a birthday trip. And when we are together, honey, it's a good time. Okay, we tell Vegas upside down. We tell Puerto Rico upside down. But it's just something about when we go our separate ways. I call her whenever I call her, or she calls me whenever she calls me, and I'm just like, okay, what are we
So is
talking
that
about?
is that your friend? Is that a hanging buddy?
That's
Because
my.
remember when I
When I tell
said
you,
in the
she is
beginning, you
my
have
friend.
acquaintances, you have friends, you have you have some people you just kick it with. We just going down the
Hmm.
lounge because we like to paint. We like to go to Vegas and hang out and cut up and stuff. I'll cut up and hang out with some folks and have a great time with them, but I wouldn't consider them my friends because if something's going down and I need to talk about my kids, they're not the one I'm gonna call.
That's very
if
true.
if something's is if I need to discuss something about my parents, they're not the one I'm gonna call. If I
Very
need to
true.
pray because something's going on, because see, I don't tell folks listen, if I got a hangnail on my pinky, I won't tell Negroes because they'll be done put you in the grave.
Okay,
You know,
in 3 days.
they with their mouth. But that's the friend I'm gonna call, and we're gonna pray about that thing. We're gonna talk about that thing.
Hmm.
Well, I'm gonna cry. My friends are the ones who get to see me crazy.
Yeah. Now with her, she is. I can honestly say she is my friend, and
Okay.
she will go to the end of the earth for me, and I will do the same for her. It's just that since October of last year, I just kind of been like, I just don't want to be around people. I don't want to talk
Mhm.
to people. I don't want to do anything. Like when I tell you, this girl hopped in her car and drove 3 hours because she lives in up towards South Boston, that whole
Mhm.
Lynchburg area. She drove 3 hours to come knock on my door, make sure I was all right, and I left her standing right outside.
But
No
I
papa.
think right now, because of the process that you're in, that you
Hmm.
can't really, it's going to be a little different for you because you've got to readjust in life and learn how to live life without. So
Exactly.
that's kind of a different situation. Mhm. Yeah,
Now,
that's something I had to go through with Marie, learning,
oh God, yes.
dealing with her, learning how to readjust to life again.
And that was her kid. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I
Hmm.
I couldn't even imagine. And Jessica, you are right. Friends tell you what you don't want to hear. My best friend will call me sometimes and be like, you know what? Let me tell you what you did. This is what you did, and it was absolutely wrong. This is how you out here looking. Don't ever do that again. You look stupid. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. She said, that's the problem. That's what I'm telling you. So I definitely agree with that. A friend will tell you what you don't want to hear, but they always tell you what you don't want to hear when you need to hear it. And that to me is crazy. But now if we can kind of move this into something that just popped in my brain. We talked about expectations versus boundaries. We talked about fostering and maintaining friendships. Within a female friendship, right?
Hmm.
I'll take that off the table. You know this whole thing, women empowerment, right?
Hmm.
What is that to you?
Women empowerment ain't. I'm trying to say this without engaging. Women ain't. You know how some people say you weaponize the Bible, weaponizing this, weaponizing that.
Mhm.
Sometimes I see people they try to weaponize that whole women empowerment. Um, it becomes important when it's manipulation. But real
Mm.
women in empowerment is us not how we talked about it when we first came into when we first started conversation about. I feel like we put too much expectations on each other and too much expectations put on women and too much expectations put on Black women.
Mm.
And so to me, women in empowerment is when we as women stop falling for the okie doke. Let me give an example.
Okay.
Um, I think that you sometimes hear people say, "Ain't too many men out here. Ain't too many men out here." It's because of the divide and conquer thing. Women empowerment to
Okay.
me is I'm not going to be in a position where I'm nobody's second choice. I ain't your side piece. I ain't the bottom or the top woman, whatever the heck that means. You know what I'm saying? So, as a woman, you can't empower or be in an empowerment movement until you empower yourself.
Okay. Okay.
It's first got to be in you. You first got to put expectations and boundaries on yourself so
Okay.
that you can be empowered,
Well,
and
in
then
church
you
they
will
say
be
you got
able
to be the
to
first partaker.
right. Then you'll be able to treat the next lady correctly because you're empowered. And as a black woman, I respect me. So when I see other black women, I respect them.
Okay. Now let's talk about respect of black women, right?
Hmm.
Have you ever seen an instance where a black woman could respect herself so much to the point where she won't take crap from anybody else, but then the anybody else feels like, well, you're not doing the whole women empowerment thing. Does that make sense?
I think just because you feel like you're a woman that's woman empowered, don't mean you have to be around everybody.
Mm, okay.
We keep. You don't have to listen. There are certain things we have to tolerate on our jobs because that's how we
Mm-hmm.
pay our mortgage, right? There are certain things we
Mm-hmm.
have to tolerate to a limit in our neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to live there. But to a limit. I just talked about there are certain things I'm going to deal with my sisters because that's my blood. I was raised with
Right.
them. But sometimes you got to know when to walk away.
That's why I say,
I
honey,
ain't got
sometimes you
I ain't
got to
got
know when to hold them,
yeah.
know
My
when to
thing
fold
of
them.
I don't have to take nothing off of you is that I don't have to even engage with you.
Mm-hmm.
See, we have to learn when to stop engaging. And that's a hard thing to do. I'm preaching to the
Yes,
choir, I'm preaching to myself when I say that. I have to learn when to stop engaging. And that's something
absolutely.
I have been learning within the last 2 years, when to walk away.
Mm. Honey,
When,
let's put a
when
pin
it
in that.
don't bring me peace, well, I ain't got to talk about it.
Woo.
I ain't got to
Listen,
explain it. I ain't got to make everybody understand it. I ain't got to do any of that. Just walk away.
Cruza, girl, don't make me raise you an offer because you are really preaching to the choir right here. See, because when we walk away, I hate the negative connotation that walking away has. I hate it. It's okay, like I say all the time, it's okay to pack up your toys and go home. Find
Hmm.
you another sandbox to play in.
Hmm.
Because sometimes walking away also helps with your mental health. It helps with all of that because why continue to be in a situation that is yielding you no results? Why continue to be in a situation, whether relationship, friendship, situationship, F ship, whatever it is, why continue to be in something that is yielding you nothing?
And you know why people have a hard time walking away from stuff?
Because
Because
they're living the norm. That's what I think.
they have to find fault.
Okay. Who has to
Sometimes it's
find fault?
nobody's fault. Sometimes there's not no right or wrong. Sometimes it's just not for me anymore. That's all.
Okay. I can respect that. But you say sometimes to find fault, people walk away. Who is the one finding the fault? The person walking away or the person that you're walking away from?
Well, I mean, sometimes people are stuck somewhere because they want to. I was I believe in therapy. I think that therapy should be a part of your maintenance, like you getting your nails done, like you getting a massage, like you therapy should be in there, right? So I was in
Hmm.
therapy one time because I felt like should have felt a certain way. Let me just because I did the video while I'm talking in circles. Videos out there. When I left Josh, I felt guilt because I felt like whose fault is it? it needs. I felt like it had to be some reason, some reason, some reason. The reason is we don't get along no more. We ain't compatible. But it's done. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like doing that no more. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you stuck there trying to argue about, I don't want to do this no more because it isn't it. And you giving all these excuses. Girl, just walk away.
Mm.
Girl, just go.
Ooh, listen, that
Just
was
respectfully
so
go. That's
good.
all. Just
That
stop
is so
engaging.
good.
And when you go, stop engaging. You ain't got to answer everything. Stop engaging.
Huh? Oh, say that one more time, Cruiser, please. Say that again.
Don't engage no more.
Don't engage no more, and you ain't got to explain it.
Mm-mm.
Listen, and
And one
this
day I
comment
asked
here.
myself, I said, girl, you're a grown 55-year-old woman. The only person who sends that money over there to that credit union, pay your mortgage is you. Ain't nobody else
Thank
paying your
you.
car insurance, honey. When you got to pay on these trips, it's you sending the money. Ain't nobody giving you nothing. So what you explaining to
Okay.
people for?
Listen, stop explaining.
Stop
That's why
explaining.
after a while, I really stopped having conversations with people in general. Listen, I had to stop talking to my sister for a while because when I have to keep explaining the same thing over again, it is now going to go from me explaining it to me dogging you out and cussing you out and calling you every name I can think of, and I will make up some names to call you because now I feel like you playing in my face. If I've explained something to you 3 and 4 times, why the hell am I still explaining
Mhm.
this? I hate that. And I agree with this comment right here. Walking away is utilizing your power, boundaries, and strength. And if I can add on to that, I also feel like knowing when to walk away and actually walking away is also another form of women empowerment. That is just my opinion
Mhm.
on that.
Yeah.
You know? Like
Yeah. Right or wrong, I'm not going to explain my grown A actions.
not not at all.
Not the
Uh-uh.
and it's some and there are times in friendships that now there are some people that's important enough to me that I will try to help them to understand because I don't want them to just think that I'm hurting somebody. But one thing you
Hmm.
said, do I not like in a friendship? I don't like people trying to control me in a friendship.
Listen.
Um, if you don't agree, if it's something I'm doing within the friendship that affects us, that's one thing. But if it's something I'm doing to myself, let me do it till the wheels fall off. I heard you. I know you're concerned. I'm gonna be back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be back.
Mm.
I'm okay. Let me play with this ninja for a little while. I know, girl.
Not I play with this ninja Cruiser.
I'll be,
I
I'll be
ain't
back
gonna
in
tell you what I was.
September.
I ain't gonna. I ain't gonna say what was on my mind right when you said that. Are you okay? You are nuts. So when it comes to okay, so you said you there go Cruiser again, and I think it was Oh God, I'm about to say the person name. Bubble gum something. They said Cruiser's production is always is always messing up. Cruiser back, y'all. Hold
Girl, all I did was put my charger in. Good gracious. This phone got all upset.
on. So if there's oh, and the timer did go off for an hour, so just let me know.
Okay.
Um, and if there's anybody in the chat that has any questions, feel free to type your question in the chat. And if Cruiser or I will see them, we will ask them and also kind of put who the question is for too as well. So Cruiser, let's go back to Josh. Okay.
Hmm.
This is how much I manage my business. I didn't know you and him was no longer. What
Yeah.
was the driving factor to in that, if I may ask?
Um, it's the funniest thing. I literally had an epiphany one day.
Mm,
Um, you know, first the first thing was I was turning 40, and my sisters asked me what did I want to do for my birthday,
hmm.
and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And they said, "What do you like to do?" And as I was thinking about what I like to do, well, one of my sisters said, "What do you do? I mean, what do you do?" And I was thinking, well, I go to church. I go to soccer practice because Leslie plays soccer, and then dance practice. Leslie plays, and Courtney's on the cheerleading team,
Hmm.
and then Joshua, I have to do his activities, with the different therapies and things, and then Joshua likes to go to bed, and everything I was saying, and they was like, "But that's what Joshua like." Oh, but that's what Josh likes to do. What do you like to do? And I did not know. And so I finally said, I like to dance. I like to dance. And they were like, well, go. Why you can't dance? Because the church said I can't dance.
Listen.
Why you can't dance? So when I started doing the things that I enjoy doing, it
Hmm.
brought a rift in between us. Um, and then we were, and then, a lot of times people stay in relationships longer than they should because it's what they're used to. It was one lady at the church. We had went on a cruise. The church went on a cruise, and
Hmm.
Josh didn't go. Her husband didn't go, and we were cabin mates. And she was saying, well, I just can't imagine, what are you going to do when you leave them? You're going, you're going to leave everything, you're going to have to struggle. You're going to have bills by yourself. We're living comfortable.
Hmm.
And I thought about it. I was like, well, shoot, I can work. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay for that reason. Uh, so it just got to the point where we were no longer, we were just existing. And I'm
Hmm.
just not the type of person I want to live and I just don't want to exist.
That's interesting. So
So when
did
I
you
left,
find
I
it
lost
difficult to
everybody.
leave?
Huh?
So when you left, did you find it like, was it hard for you to make that decision to leave? And if it wasn't, was the transition out of it more difficult than making the conscious decision to leave?
It took a while. I had, leaving was planning because he wasn't leaving the house. And he made that clear.
Okay.
So, I had to raise some funds and I had to find somewhere to live. And you know me, everything that came out of me was going with me.
Okay.
And so I have 3 kids,
Yeah.
and so you know, it was difficult financially to get it together to do it. And then
Mm.
when I did, uh, getting used to it just being me was difficult. And then I felt like my dad betrayed me because my son, he was 16 at the time. He was
Mhm.
getting very close to 17, but he was 16, and he refused to go.
Aw.
And then my dad said, "Leave that boy with his daddy," and I felt like my daddy was betraying me. Um, so it was hard for that adjusting to all of that. But on the flip, emotionally, I was so happy that it was unreal that I had to go into therapy,
Whew.
and a lot of my friends left me.
The whole therapy piece to it, right? Growing up in church, they look down on people going to therapy. They'll be quick to have a Friday night Tarian service. You come down, you get on your knees and you pray and you foam at the mouth and you tell Jesus to fix it. But now, I'm still a believer in that, but I also think you better go park your hips on somebody's couch, talk to somebody, get you some medication, and still pray about it. Because I feel like therapy, I can only speak from a black person standpoint. In the typical black household, this is just typical, this isn't for everybody. But in a typical black household, you tell the saints of old of your family, oh, I'm going to therapy. Therapy, what's that? Want no therapy. And I was talking to another friend of mine, and we were talking about therapy. And then I hopped online, and it was a YouTube clip, Miss Lawrence from, what's that show? Real Housewives of Atlanta, was doing an interview with somebody, and they were talking about the hair industry and how beauty salons impacted the black communities. And it was something that Miss Lawrence said, and I'm just going to sum it up because I can't remember verbatim. But what Miss Lawrence said was, before there was a therapy or before there was mental health, there was the black salon. You would go sit down, get your hair done, and you just tell all your troubles, and you snot, cry, get your hair done, and then you were fine after that. So I kind of agree with that as far as just getting it off your chest and having somebody to talk to. But Cruza, let me ask you this. At what point does it go from having someone to talk to versus going to see somebody professionally?
Well, are you able to hear me? Because my phone rang and it took
Yeah, I
me
can
out
hear
a
you.
second. Okay.
I can hear you.
Uh, I always say some people have heard me say, if I needed a tooth extracted, I wouldn't go to my pastor. If I needed my appendix out, I wouldn't go to my pastor. I ain't gonna go to my best friend. Now you need
Hmm.
now you need a surgeon, a specialist. Um, I think that you would know within yourself when it's beyond um just needing a friend to talk to. When you find yourself closing off yourself to things that you enjoy and you just can't get back there. Um, when the guilt or there's many different types of therapy. There's grief therapy, there's guilt therapy, and then there's therapy that's needed if you have some type of a mental disease, if like bipolar, or I have anxiety, um
Hmm.
and I have to know when I need therapy for, when I don't need therapy for, when I'm able to just walk it off or whatever. um, so I think it's just like with anything else. When you have a pain in your body, when you decide, okay, this thing is getting too far, I need to go to the emergency room. I think that mental health is as equally as important as your physical health, and it
I
should be
definitely agree with
maintained
that.
the same way. So the same way, if you have a headache and you're saying, okay, I'm going to take a Tylenol, or for me, I don't get headaches that often. I mean, it's
Okay.
very rare. So if I get a headache, I'm looking for, okay, if there's something going on, is there something wrong? So it's the same thing with your mental health. If something's going on with you that's not normal, then you need to have it checked on. Or if you're the type to have migraines, but this migraine ain't the same. This migraine keep lingering, or this migraine is feeling like it's going all the way to my eyes, or something different. It's the same thing with mental health. You feeling a little sad, but this time it seems like you can't pull yourself out of it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it's the same thing as with your physical health, when you can notice something, yourself, your body, and there's something different. It's the same thing with mental health. When it's just going on too long, when or when somebody tells you, I lost a friend. She passed away suddenly. It was unexpected,
I'm
and
sorry to hear
um
that.
and my sister told me, she said, you need to do some grieving. I mean, so get some grieving grief therapy, because
Hmm.
I was angry. I was angry about it. I didn't want to. Her mom wanted me to come and get one of the plants from the service, and then both of us had loved our Carolina Panthers, and it was some of her Carolina Panther stuff, and I just wouldn't go. I just wouldn't go get it. And my sister told me, and I was in denial about it until I just realized, okay, I got to do something, because I got to,
Wow.
learn how to deal with it. And so I think that everybody should know and not be in denial, and it shouldn't be. I mean, we live in 2026, and we done been through COVID, and now we're dealing with the orange man, and I could just, with all we have to deal with in life, please don't think that everybody should have a therapist close by.
Absolutely. And I agree with Jessica's comment right here. Now it's just now it's just social media. People take their issues to the internet. Now, Jessica B, let me tell you why that's interesting that you put that in there. Because I don't know if y'all have been paying attention to social media and these videos that's popping up, but I have been highly interested in listening to to this lady named Kitty Rose. So apparently there's like this traveling group of people, and they go to all these different cities, and they, I guess they sell tickets, and people come out and they tell their relationship woes, and it's a panel of men and women, and Kitty Rose is one of the people that's up there, and she gives all of this advice about relationship and marriages and things of that nature. But after researching her, I found out that her marriage may not be the best, right? So when we're talking therapy, how do you feel about a therapist or a psychologist, psychiatrist, or whatever talking to you because that's their profession, but at the end of the day, their lives is turned upside down?
Well, see, therapists ain't there to give you. answers. I mean, you might have the type of therapist, if they're clinical or they, have the right to write prescriptions, but therapy, I don't know about anybody else, but when I go to therapy, my therapist don't talk a whole lot. I'm doing all the talking.
Mm.
Now they might give me exercises on how to deal with my anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
or when you get angry, try these tools or try these keys. But therapy, a trained therapist is trained to hear people and to talk them through their issues, and they're not coming up with answers for you. Like people who say, I don't understand how somebody can be a relationship, a group relationship therapist, because all people ain't the same.
Not at all.
Like all just because I'm a woman and you're a woman, we ain't the same. We don't think the same.
Exactly.
We ain't got the same things, needs. We ain't got the same wants. We're not the same. So you can't sit around and say this what works in every marriage, or this what works in every friendship, or this what works in every romantic relationship. I don't trust that stuff. Them people that come out like that, I don't trust all that, because everybody not the same. Everybody, they would think, oh, this is how a woman think it. This is how a man think. All women don't think the same, and not that one is wrong or one is right. We're just not all the same. So you have to watch your therapist. That's why I think that church therapy ain't good, because church therapy always trying to tell you what to do.
Now let's talk church therapy. I'm so glad you brought that up. And Tiffany Black said a cardiologist can have a heart attack. They are still human,
Hello,
just trained in their field.
Tiffany.
Now, okay, that that
The
statement right
dentist did the
there.
root canal.
So definitely. So Tiffany, thank you
Hmm.
so much, because yeah, you are absolutely right. I didn't even think about it from that standpoint. That's
Hmm.
why I'm glad we are having this conversation. And Jessica, listen, baby, I will go lay on somebody's couch too. Okay, thank God for EAP programs. For those of you that are employed, you know what that is. We thank God for it. Okay,
Hmm.
because we like free therapy sessions. Now, talking about church therapy, I saw a debate going on about should couples that are engaged that are in church, they suggest marriage counseling. Should the marriage counseling come from the pastor of the church, or should they get it from outside the church? What are your
Outside,
thoughts? Why?
outside. I think that it should be somebody. First of all, the first question is the pastor, is he a trained therapist? Is he or she a licensed therapist? That's the first
That's
question you should ask yourself.
well for me. The first question would be, Pastor, are you even married? Because if that, you can't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, I would still say no, because you would want to go to somebody who is unrelated to the situation. I had a therapist one time,
Mhm.
the very first one I had, a Korean lady, and it just seemed like she hung every word, and sometimes she would ask me questions like, really, she would just be curious. And one time she did tell me, she said, I don't have many black patients,
Mm.
and especially, and she said, especially black patients who are of faith.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so one time I was saying something, and she bust out laughing, and she kept apologizing. And she said, "You are so. Do you know you're funny? You're so funny. You are hilarious. You're funny." And she said, I'm so sorry. This is so unprofessional." And we we ended up. She asked me what I was gonna do for the weekend. I said, "I'm going down to the lounge." So she started hanging out to the lounge. She couldn't be my therapist no more,
Okay.
because now she's hanging in the same spot I'm hanging in.
Ah. Okay. Got you.
Uh-huh. You're no longer objective. So I
Yeah.
think that a pastor, they're hanging in the same spot that you're hanging in. They
That
know
makes
you
sense.
on a personal level. I think you're better off with people who don't know you personally, to be
I agree with that.
especially for marriage therapy. They don't know neither one of y'all. They don't have a preference between neither one of y'all. There is no like when I've told the church that I was leaving Josh. My bishop, this is what my bishop said. He said, "This is a bad time, sis. This is a
Mm.
bad time, because Josh was going to be left elder at that church because he was the pastor at the church we was going to, but he was the bishop over the whole organization.
Oh,
And he had
okay.
to leave that church to go to another church because the bishop, he was the bishop, what do they call it? The bishop elect or whatever,
The
whatever.
bishop
Well,
elect.
the bishop had passed. So now it's him
Mm,
about to be voted in permanently. So he was going to have to go from that church to a whole nother church, which would have left Josh, the main elder at that church.
got you.
He said,
Okay.
you can't leave him right now. So his issue wasn't my marriage or me being healthy or us being in a good place. His issue was, I'm about to leave him as the elder. His wife ain't gonna be there. How that gonna look?
Mm,
So he wasn't the best person to minister us. I mean, to give us any type of therapy because his intentions or his reasonings weren't in our best interest. It was in the interest of that church and not us.
okay. Now, speaking of church therapy, right?
Hmm.
Do you think Marvin Sapp and that woman he married received any type of therapy or marriage
Now,
counseling or anything?
now,
And this is why I say that. See, because what I'm not gonna do is get out here and make an ass of myself and my husband. See, because when you get the mic and you say dumb stuff like, "I don't care what the internet say," you should.
I think, in my opinion, I think they pushed her.
I think so too.
I think that when you are in the position where you are a pastor's wife, a bishop's wife, the elder's wife, the minister's wife, hello, I know this. People think they can say, come up in your face and say anything they want to say. I remember
Mm.
that Claudine had to back people up off her. May
Who?
she rest in peace.
Oh, baby, yeah. Listen, I was sitting in church and I saw
Hmm.
Claudine do that. I was
Yeah.
like,
She had to back people up.
dang.
And so did that lady say too much? Yeah, she probably said too much.
I
Um,
mean, for you to say the church ain't paid for this wedding, I bought the helicopter. Girl, why did we need to know that?
because they were saying that they were using church funds.
Okay, but let's talk about that for a second. How many times have we heard rumors and stuff going on in these blogs about money and pastors and everything? It- Child, you don't have to grab the mic to defend
Yeah. And I think
anything.
she got up there and she just kind of went, sometimes you can get the mic and you get to talking and you say too much.
Too much. And
Um,
I feel like the signs of a
and I
good
think
first
she
lady
kind
is
of
to know
went,
when to shut up.
yeah, she kind of went too far. But on the flip side, this is why I don't like celebrity news and following celebrities and all that. Because
Hmm.
we're talking about expectation. What about expectation of privacy? Like
Talk about it.
people can sit around and you can hear 100 bloggers say things about you that's not true, and you just
Hmm.
have to be quiet and maintain and act right and not say it. And you're not allowed to say anything back because if you say anything back, then now you're wrong. But these people can lie on you, just like they went on and on and on about Marvin Sapp saying close the doors. First of all, they said he said lock the doors and he didn't. And then
Hmm.
people didn't wasn't real honest about what was going on. People knew the truth, but they wasn't honest.
Hmm.
But they just hung on to the fact that he said close the doors. They never said that they was in a public place in a convention center.
Right.
So it's noisy out there because you have people who's at the convention and then people who's just in that building. That's not even at
Because
the convention because
those conventions are
you rent it
loud.
on the inside. You ain't rent the outside of it. And then you have all the vendors and stuff out there, and they
Uh-huh.
trying to sell the stuff to the church folk because the church folks coming with money. So it's loud out there. So close the doors. We try to take up this offering. So that's one thing. Number two, nobody never mentioned that none of that, not a dime of that money was going to him.
Right.
They had to pay for that building they was in. They were still paying for the transportation they was in. They were still paying for all the stuff that it took to do this convocation. And so it was a lot of things that was and it was not his church. So he's been accused of money, 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 money. And she got up there and was like, and see, I would have got up there and said, do y'all know my husband wrote 160 songs?
I would have went that route instead of
He
saying
wrote
what she said, which
160
was he
songs.
got multiple streams of income, ma'am.
This man came from commission.
Okay,
One of the original
commission.
members that wrote a lot of the songs.
See what I'm
Y'all
saying?
tapping your feet to the songs. He makes money. He had money before he came around here.
Right, and he's still making money from commission.
Right. And he's still writing songs and making money. So it's like he ain't no pastor to get nobody's money because it's
No,
running a church and having a church is very expensive. It's
very,
extremely expensive. It's
very.
so I'm not taking up for people in the chat who know be like, well, she's just taking up for him because her parents and Marvin Sapp. Listen, because every time Marvin Sapp put his foot in his mouth when I over in the church sector when I do the what Marvin did now the segment I have to put up the picture because I just go ahead and be transparent to everybody so they don't be saying trying to out me. I just go ahead and put up the pictures with my parents and Marvin and I'll be like, Mama, Daddy, what y'all friend done did now? What
Exactly
y'all
what
friend
y'all
done
done
did now?
did.
Go talk to your friend. But yeah, I just I think that and she's a therapist herself. His
I
wife,
heard that. I heard that.
she's a doctor. I don't know in what field or what specialty or whatever, but she is. But this is newness. She'll
Yeah,
get used to it. She'll calm down, and hopefully the people will calm down. But that's a hard position to be in when you just don't have you cannot have any expectation of privacy. I just think I hate that for people. Like every little inch of your life is going to be judged and a magnifying glass put on it, and you can't say nothing back.
exactly. No, I definitely get that, and I can agree with that. Just girl, like
Hmm.
I just feel like finances, how many streams of income is coming. That shouldn't. I don't know that. I don't do the finance talk like that. That was too much. That's just my opinion.
Hmm.
We didn't need to know about the multiple streams of income because number one, we already knew that.
Well, I
So
guess she was just trying to say we ain't stealing no money from nothing, and ain't none of y'all pay for our wedding. We basically
and
she. I
she
feel
should
I
have
feel like
left
she
it
was
there.
defending herself.
I paid for
Yeah.
that helicopter.
And the
Okay.
thing is, and I would have told them, people making a big deal out of helicopter. You go down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina,
You see what I'm saying?
and you hop on a helicopter for $35. They ride you around that whole Myrtle Beach. Like you,
Okay.
you can rent a helicopter for $5,000.
Literally.
five
So,
or six thousand
girl, what are
dollars
you
if you rent a
saying?
helicopter. People be making big deals out of nothing. That's her wedding. That's
Facts.
what she wanted to do. And that's how they wanted to do their wedding. And they
Uh,
didn't have to invite the whole church if they didn't want to invite the whole church. You
that's
know?
true. That
Mm-hmm.
is true. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I want to wrap up by asking you this. Cruza, what is something that at your age now, what is one thing that you will tell the younger you? What piece of advice would you give the younger Cruza?
Stop trying to be everything to everybody.
Whew. Listen, mm. Stop trying to be everything to everybody.
It took me
Mm.
this long to realize that you just cannot please everybody. You pull so many different ways. And I think that's the root of my anxiety is that, trying to be perfect here and I gotta do this and I'm a part of this you can't be everything to everybody. You be your best you and then you learn how to get a no in your spirit when you need to say no.
Mm.
Learn because we as women, that's one of the women empowerment. Some of us don't know how to say no. We everything to the church. We everything to our husbands. We everything to our children. We everything to our parents. We everything to friends, and we don't know how to take care of us. I'm at that
Mm.
stage now where I'm still struggling with how to let go of some of being everything to my kids. But everywhere around, other than that, I have learned how to set limits and boundaries, to empower myself, what to give, what not to give, when to walk away, when to stay, what I want to do, and not based on what other people expect from me.
Mm. And and to that. um, it's hard when you have poured out into everybody,
Hmm.
but nobody is there to pour into you. And I think that's the phase where I am now, and I'm just trying to kind of deal with it a little bit. Um, so yeah, not gonna
Yeah.
go too far into attention because honey, I will start crying in a heartbeat just
And
talking about that part.
yeah, and you'll get there. I watch my kids, going through figuring this thing out. Like in my 20s, you know, I was just existing. In my
Hmm.
30s, I was confused and numb. In my 20s, I was existing and going between excitement, unhappiness, depression, excitement, saying, what I'm gonna do, I'm an adult now and people expected me to do this thing myself and I've got this responsibility and what is going on here. 30, I was numb. I
Hmm.
was just going through the motions. 40, I was trying to figure me out and straighten me out. 50, it's like, okay, I have to keep reminding myself, you're not being selfish. You're
Right.
just being you.
Mm.
And it's
Wow.
okay to say no when you need to say no. And it's okay to disengage when you need to disengage.
You don't understand how much I needed to hear that. You really don't. God, cruising. No, no, no. You're not about to have me snotting and crying like I'm down at the altar, okay? So, because baby, I could talk for hours about that. But I just want to say, Cruiser, thank you so, so, so much for
This has
agreeing
been
to do this.
fun. It's been fun. Thank you for inviting me. I
You're
was
very
resisting it
welcome.
first.
I
And
know.
let me tell y'all, I gave her so many. I gave her hell. Said, look, I ain't coming down there to do this and have my grapes ready. But I'm glad I came. I had a good time. I said, I
I'm
ain't
glad
staying
you
over
did.
no hour. I ain't being up there
Yeah,
all day.
literally, y'all. She said the first things first. She said, nah, I don't do that beef sucker stuff. I'm like, it's not beef sucker. She said, okay, well, let me go listen to the past shows to see what you're talking about. And I'm like, okay. And it's funny you did that and you mentioned that cruiser because Envy and I was talking, and he was just like, it's going to get to a point where the people that you will want to reach out to come do this girl talk with you, they're going to say, let me look at your body of work to
Hmm.
see what you already have, and I will make my decision. And then when I reached out to you and asked you that, and then that was your exact response,
Hmm.
I said, okay, here we go. So I am so glad
Yeah.
that, you found something in the past shows that made you want to say, you know what, I want to do this. And you stayed over your hour.
I stayed on my hours. I enjoyed the conversation. Listen, we would love to have you over in the church sector. Come on, mingle with us.
I
Get to
will.
know
I
us, and
will.
I think you have
Definitely.
a lot to bring to it. You know all the gospel singers and the gossip, and we gossip. Listen, don't do it. We won't have nothing to blog on you about.
Okay, that
You
part. But
Let me tell
trust
you
me,
this.
I will be
You
over
know the
there.
Kojic. During the whole Kojic convention, they were speaking to us bloggers, like throughout the whole convention.
Ooh,
They
I
even
heard.
who was that? Pastor Woodley was
Mm,
saying, them jives. He mentioned King Jives, and he went his little sermon, and they kept throwing darts at us and throwing darts at us, and it's like we wouldn't have nothing to blog about if y'all don't do nothing. So I think you would enjoy
exactly.
yourself in the church sector. We have a
Oh,
good
I
time.
would love to come on
Mhm.
over because I've been watching, and Jives, that's the brother. That's my boo.
Yes.
That is my brother. He is a mess. Okay.
Mhm. That's my that's
Jobs
my
had an
took.
interview. Jobs had an interview with a young lady named Kayla
Hmm.
because Kayla and McCray got into it. But
Hmm.
when I heard the name, I said, I know this ain't the Kayla I'm thinking of. Lo and
Oh no.
behold, it was her. I said, "Oh, McCray, you don't understand. You mess with the wrong one. That whole family fight. That whole last of the family. Oh, they fight.
Hmm. Hmm.
They fight real bad. They don't care where they at. They'll fight you in church and won't care.
Yeah,
But yeah, so
he
I
got
will
one.
definitely be over there in. Anyone else remember when King Jobs got into it with some beef sector folks? Actually, Sean, I was surprised to see King Jobs at Jay Wilson house
Yeah, yeah.
for the Labor Day thing. And I'm just like, okay. So he has ties over here. So he does mingle over here every blue moon. And then I'm not gonna go into the other stuff that was done to him because that's my brother and I respect him.
Mhm.
But I definitely remember that.
Everybody's familiar. Everywhere you go, people are familiar with the beef sector.
And,
Um,
yep, that's the truth.
AT2 did a video talking about the beef sector and said it is now the lemon sector. And it's funny because people he don't remember. He said, "I don't remember you in the beef sector at all." I said, "Thank God."
Well, I don't know it because baby, it might as well because they keep snatching his they keep
Yeah,
snatching his
bless his
baby.
heart.
So
He's a funny. It's funny because I still watch the beef sector, and and before I left the beef sector, I never ever ever watched Lemon. I just never. I said I can't imagine myself watching Lemon. And recently I was watching Lemon. I said, "Well, I didn't know he was that funny. Lemon is funny. That Joker is funny to me." But I've never,
he has funny moments. I will give him that. He
yeah,
definitely has
yeah.
funny moments.
He
I
tickles
cannot
me.
take that from him.
Yeah, he
I
tickles. I
cannot.
said, "Why did I know he was that funny like that?" He tickles me. I mean, little, but I don't watch a lot, so I don't. I couldn't tell you this, that, and the other. I just glance at it every now and then to kind of keep up, but that's
Mhm.
about it. But listen, I done
Yes,
held you
ma'am.
longer than you held me. I
No, you
appreciate it.
are
I
fine.
enjoyed myself. Thank you so much. Hello to everybody.
You
I,
are
I
very
missed
welcome.
coming in. Thank y'all for coming in and supporting Miss R and Y. And she told a story about how we ended up finding out we knew. Well, I know her family. I was like, wait a minute.
Listen, right. For those that wasn't here at the beginning, I'll quickly go back over it. We was in a chat somewhere,
Jay
and
Wilson.
it was Jay Wilson. There you go.
Hmm.
And somebody dropped down. I think it was you, Cruiser, dropped
I
down
said
and
Bishop.
said
I
Bishop
came in.
Willis
I
died.
dropped in, and I said I was telling Jay Wilson Bishop because he was there at the same time I was
Uh
in Virginia.
huh.
We was going around to some of the same. So I had dropped in to tell him that Bishop Willis passed, and you
Right.
said Bishop Willis was my
Uh
bishop.
huh.
I
And
said
you
Bishop
said,
Willis
huh?
is my bishop.
And then you said,
So let
hit
me
me
ask
up
you
on
this real
Instagram
quick.
so we can talk. So
Were
I
you
hit up
one
on
of the
Instagram.
teenagers? Were you
Hmm.
one of the teenagers that used to come get my son, like Erica? It was be Erica,
Oh, the Riot
Courtney.
Girls.
Uh huh. And
Hmm.
they used to come get Joshua all the time and go take him up on the choir stand. Was you there then?
I was there.
So you were one of the ones. Them girls used to love to come get Joshua. I don't know what about. And Joshua would
And
be up
I
there
used to
cutting
love to go
up.
get Malcolm. How did be
Malcolm.
Malcolm drooling and everything, and me and Malcolm just
Malcolm.
have a good old time.
Malcolm was a
Okay.
bad little. He was so bad.
Oh God. So I hit her up on Instagram. I said, "How do you know Bishop Willis? You keep saying Bishop Willis was my bishop." And she said, "Girl, what church you went to?" So I told her the name, but she said, "Hold on, what?" I said, yeah." She verified the address and everything. I said, yeah." That's
And
when I
then you
found
showed
out.
your mom
Uh
Josh.
huh.
She said, "Oh my goodness."
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
think
And
your
that's when I
mom and
found
Josh
out
used
she
to be
knew my
like the only.
family.
It used to be about 5 folks out there praying on Thursday, and I think your mom was one of them.
Hmm.
Your mom, Josh. I didn't even go, child. I didn't even
Yeah.
go out there on Thursday for prayer. But anyway, it was
Found out
it
she
was
knew my
delightful.
family.
Hmm.
Okay. And like
Yeah,
it is
I remember
really,
your mom
really.
and her little crew. She had it was a group. It was three of them
Yes,
hanging
it was
tight.
my mama.
Hmm.
It was my mama. It was her cousin, and
Hmm.
it was the other person, Shelton.
Yeah.
Them three together,
Hmm. Hmm.
trouble,
Yeah. Yeah.
trouble. So that's how we found it, and then that's how I found out. And when Jay Wilson said Bishop, well, I said, "Hold on, how you know?" And that's when I found out that Jay Wilson and I run in the same
Hmm.
circles, even though he's older than
Green
I
and
am. The
hmm
Greens, the
hmm
Thompsons, the
hmm
Willises,
yeah.
everybody found that we
Honey, me
all
and
ran in
Wilson
the
used to be
same
down at there, and we
circle.
didn't really know each other, but we would like some of the same service. And how I found out what Wilson was, he was talking about a woman testifying. I said, "Wait a minute, I was at
Uh,
that service.
I'll never forget that. Okay.
I was at that service. But midnight musicals and stuff. Yep, the
And he
Saint going to
always used to talk about Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel was right across the
honey.
street from Garden and
Yeah.
Prayer, and that
Hmm.
was the place to go to for a midnight musical. Now I'm too old
Midnight
for them.
musical. I remember one night. He passed away. What's his name? Daryl Coley came to a midnight
Mm.
musical. That's when I first became aware of Daryl Coley. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was out Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel.
And then what's the lady name? Used to sing with her.
Peggy.
Peggy.
I still sing with her.
Oh, you still? Oh Lord, that's a mess now.
Yeah. I'll
I
never
love
forget.
this.
We had to do a I was invited to come sing with the Virginia
Mm-hmm,
orchestra here, right? And they were
mm-hmm,
doing a tribute to Richard Smallwood. And
mm-hmm,
so I'm in the green room minding my business. And I have Jay Wilson on my phone playing because he was live at the time.
mm-hmm.
Peggy walks in my room. Earl Bynum walks in my room. Peggy stopped me. Peggy said, ma'am. I said, yes. She said, why does that voice sound familiar? I said, I don't know. Do you know this person? I turned the phone around. She said, how you know him? And then here come Earl. I ain't seen him in a month of Sundays. I said, well, you know he don't live here, right? And they were just like, how do you know him? So when I tell y'all the Virginia church scene is big, but it's small at the same
It's
time,
small.
everybody knows everybody,
In the
especially
Tidewater,
if you
in the Hampton
sing or
Roads,
play an
Tidewater
instrument.
area. Mm-hmm. It don't matter
Listen,
if you apostolic, Kojic, whatever. You gonna if you sing, if you music, you gonna get around. It's
absolutely.
you're gonna know of some people. So,
Absolutely.
but it's been a
Well,
joy, girl.
it has been a pleasure. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, Cruiser. Once again, thank you so much for lending me some of your time today. I really appreciate it, and thank you for coming.
All
Hey, and
right.
I need you to drop in my Instagram and send me a list of the church sector people I need to go watch because I'm about to start coming over there.
Okay, okay. And best wishes to you
Thank
in
you.
your endeavors, and you keep going no matter what. You keep going. Keep this thing going. Be consistent,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
don't worry about all the other stuff. You just do you. Be real to you, and you do whatever it is that you enjoy doing and what's comfortable to you.
Yes,
You be
ma'am.
blessed.
Thank you. You too. All right, y'all. We have reached the end. Although we've come to the end of the show. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I think. Yep. There we go. Although we've come to the end of the show, honey, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate each and every one of you all for coming through. I could not speak to each and every one of you individually, but I thank you for your comments. I thank you for remaining engaged in the conversation. You all don't understand how much this means to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me run my mouth for the past hour and 40 minutes. But I will say this, keep an eye out on that community wall. I will be posting another poll this week. I'm gonna try to get it out tonight. If not tonight, get it out tomorrow so we can go ahead and get some more topics. Hey, and if there's anything that you all want to talk about, guess what? You can also leave that on my community wall as well. And we will go ahead and get that popping, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna rock out of here. I'm dismissing you all back into the YouTube streets. Thank you all for spending the last hour and 41 minutes with me and Miss Cruza. Greatly appreciate it. Have an amazing week on purpose. And don't let nobody deter you. Love on everybody, including yourself. Okay? Bye, y'all.